Welcome to the Rise and Wander podcast, where we'll explore adventure, spirituality, and empowerment through the outdoors and beyond. Join me, Karla Amador, as we focus on topics around the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also hear inspiring stories, get educated, and more. Let's get started. Are you ready to take a life-changing journey? Join me for a hike per week or 52 hikes within a year at 52hikechallenge.com. Gain the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also gain access to community, education, resources, and more. Plus, get 10% off on your sign up and first order with code RISE25. That's RISE25. See you on the trails. Welcome, everyone, to the Rise and Wander podcast. I'm your host, Karla Amador. This is Season 4, Episode 6. This is the first episode back since a little hiatus. I had a break during the holidays. It's the craziest time at 52 hikes. So there's just been a lot happening these last couple weeks, but I'm really excited to be back on. In today's episode, I have two amazing guests, Chris Griffith and Susie Slater. Thank you both so much for being on. Chris and Susie are the co-authors of Urban Trails, San Diego, and there are 52 hikes here that you could do in San Diego. So if you're doing the challenge in San Diego, you can literally work off this book and complete your 52 hikes, go somewhere new every week for a year. But also, it's okay if you want to do a couple of these hikes for your challenge and go to one hike multiple times. And anyhow, I spent a lot of time researching the book and exploring. And as someone who is from California, there were definitely some hikes in here that I've done that I absolutely loved seeing in the book. And I'm so excited to have you both on. So I'm going to just quickly introduce Chris first, and then I will introduce Susie afterwards. So Chris is from Southern California, I believe. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, I was born in the lovely town of Bakersfield, so I'm a second generation Californian. So it's a pleasure to be here.
And Chris is actually studying a degree in the outdoor recreation economy from the University of Colorado. You started off by canoeing, and then you somehow made a transition into hiking, and we can talk more about that. And then since you've made your transition, you have done tons of challenges, hiking challenges. Is the 52 one of those? 52 hike challenge?
Well, I am the moderator for the San Diego chapter, so the answer better be yes. So yeah, I've been doing the 52 hike challenge for, gosh, years and years and years. So
Yeah, I was really impressed with you've done 100 Peaks challenge. You've done the Sierra Club's 100 peak list in San Diego. Is that right? San Diego peak
yeah, it's
list?
the San Diego one.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about Sierra Club because I actually have done some of the peaks on their, I want to say it's their Sierra Peaks list is what I've done a few of. In addition to doing awesome challenges like the 6-pack of peaks, I could go on and on. So you have a lot of experience with trails, and I'm really excited to have you here so that you can share your wisdom with our community. Susie, it's so wonderful to meet you. I wasn't familiar with you before the book, and now that I have learned more about you, I'm so inspired by you. You hike over 2,000 miles a year, or you've hiked over 2,000 miles in a year at one point.
I continue to hike 2,000 miles a year.
I mean, that's incredible.
I hike every day.
That's amazing and just so inspiring. And this was the thing that made me girl fan over you today. You've traveled to over 100 countries. I am a huge traveler, and I believe that travel changes our lives in addition to hiking. So I'm going to probably talk to you a little bit about that later. And what was really impressive was that you were the first person to actually complete the San Diego 100 Peaks Challenge in 2017. So that's amazing. So again, a wealth of knowledge. But in addition to that, you are a occupational therapist and a yoga instructor, which I'm a huge yogi myself. And you're currently also in a doctoral program.
Yes,
So,
for occupational therapy.
so we have two incredible people here. Is there anything either of you want to add to your amazing resume? Because it's mind blowing.
Yeah, that's a good summary. You are talking, my co-author here is truly a force of nature. So you picked that up correctly.
That's very kind.
I'm really happy to have both of you on today. And let's just jump right in. My first question is, how did this come to be? How did you guys decide you wanted to work on this book together? How did that happen?
I guess we had kicked it around a little bit. So Susie and I often do hike together when we're going after our peaks and the challenges together. In fact, that's actually how we met. I was trying to figure out how to get up to Shod Peak out in the Cuyamacas and reached out to Susie back in 2018 or so. And there's a very popular book here in San Diego, Foot and Field in San Diego, and our friend Scott Turner had taken over editing and writing that book, but he wasn't going to continue. And we considered working, maybe taking over the sixth edition. That didn't pan out, but we still felt like, with all our experience, hey, let's go ahead and come up with something. I did some research. I've done some technical writing. I have a couple technical books. So I was a little familiar with like the process, wrote up the proposal to Mountaineers Books, and they're like, yeah, we got this whole Urban Trails series. So it is a series from them. So they have San Francisco, Tucson, Seattle, and Salt Lake City. I can't list them all. So we just kind of just sort of fit right in, and somehow I convinced Susie to come along the wild ride of writing and publishing.
Susie, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think that the topic of urban trails became really appealing to me in the COVID-19 pandemic. We can get more into things, but 2017 is when I became a very avid hiker. And it started with the 52 hike challenge, but it snowballed into the 100 Peaks challenge for San Diego, which I completed that year. But things kind of shifted during the pandemic when we weren't able to travel and get outside as much. So I started focusing a lot more on things that I could get to from my doorstep. And San Diego has a very unique geography. A lot of it is canyons, plateaus and canyons giving way to the ocean. So really taking time to explore my city where I was born on an intimate level was very inspiring to me. And that's how I became a daily hiker versus a monthly hiker or even a weekly hiker, which is still amazing. But it just showed me the benefits of hiking on a different level. So I felt that this was a really important resource to provide to people to give them opportunity to experience that as well.
You know what I really loved about what I saw in the book was the urban trails, because I think when people think about hiking or getting outdoors, a lot of times there's a perception that you have to drive really far away or be in a national park. And when I was looking at the trails, I was like, wow, some of these are really super accessible. And going into the travel concept, right? Like when I travel now, because of hiking, one of the top things I do is look up top hikes or some sort of physical movement. So, what I thought was really great about this book is that it really truly makes it accessible. I saw trails or walks or whatever we want to call them that are in San Diego that you could be in downtown and take a walk on that. You guys can speak more to it, where you walk through the USSR area and all of that. I saw you guys had
Yeah, the
something,
Embarcadero.
the Embarcadero. There we go. And so I'm like, there's no reason why you can't go out in an outdoor setting and get those miles in and be active. And it's really about shifting perspective about how am I getting outside? The scientific evidence is if we're in a natural setting, it changes the brain. So I want to first start off with letting the listeners know it's okay to not travel 2 hours to a trailhead in the middle of nowhere because you can still walk in a local park or even here, right? I live now in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We have the plaza area. If you're out walking and you're still in that setting of like, I'm getting the fresh air, I'm, seeing the sun and the sky, that's something that's accessible and it's okay to do walks like that. So thank you guys for putting walks and trails in here that are accessible also to people who are adaptive hiking. I thought that was really great. So, regarding travel and hiking, Susie, how does that work for you?
It's funny because I grew up in San Diego, and literally the first time I went on an airplane was to attend college, which was in Boston, where I had never gone. But I liked the movie Good Will Hunting. I thought it looked like a good place to go to school. But I just had opportunities early on to study abroad. And then I lived in Australia, and I've made it a part of my life to explore and adventure. And I think that's why hiking's so appealing to me. I think when I was younger, it was more about traveling, about seeing the world, the beauty in the world, and its people and its food and its landscapes. And I've learned so much from that. And I think hiking like ticks that for me as well. But even on the most microscopic level in the area in which I live or wherever I am now. So I kind of think of it as micro tourism, just on your feet. But I've always been a traveler and an adventurer and an outdoor explorer.
Absolutely. I think that's what I love about 52 and just hiking in general is it forces you to also think about how can I go on these, like you called them, micro adventures and get that exploration in that I think some of us have within us that's really attractive, right? So yeah, when I was reading the book, I was thinking like, man, how fun is it that you could pick up this book and go to San Diego for a weekend and explore trails, the culture, the food. It's such a fun place. I love San Diego. I used to live an hour away. So, really excited that you guys have such a great resource out there. I thought the book started off really great, especially the Trails at a Glance page. I felt like that was really great resource because you can easily check. I think you guys even had it like by mileage and I mean there's a lot of really great information right in the beginning of this book that even breaks it down by location and what kinds of activities you can do. You guys also gave great tips on for people who are new to hiking. I saw the 10 essentials talked about in there. I felt like it had the basic information where you could pick this up at REI in the morning and be on a hike by the end of the day. So great job, whoever was thinking through that. Okay, so you both wrote this book. I want to hear what your top three hikes are from this book and anything else you want to add, maybe the why.
So I'll start. Hey, we'll go back and forth. So one of the top sort of hidden gems for me. So we took the 52, split it into 26 each. And I think both of us had a goal of trying to make sure we include the hidden gems because they're, you can go on the online top 10 hikes in San Diego, and a lot of those are covered. But we really want, because like what Susie was saying earlier, like during COVID, we were off poking, our various neighborhoods and trying to find someplace else to explore. One of my hidden gems, so number one for me, was actually Shepherd Canyon over in Tierra Santa. And I even lived in Tierra Santa and I never knew about it. I lived there when the twins were born, and so there was all that new dad fog haze. But that was just a lovely little loop with a pond, a nice spot to also reflect and be in nature and not have anything, going up a big mountain or anything of that nature. So that's always like one of my first go-tos, like, hey, what's unique? So Susie, you're next.
Well, my number one is the cover hike, Cabrillo National Monument. It's my favorite place in San Diego. I love it. And I imagine that if there wasn't development, all of San Diego would look like that, which is amazing. They have beautiful tide pools and a coastal trail, which is dog friendly, which most national parks properties are not dog friendly. So the fact that they have that portion is pretty awesome. And then there's a new trail that goes from the bottom to the top where there's a lighthouse, and then you can go onto the Bayside Trail. So you can do small sections of trails or string them all together for a pretty moderate trail, but that's my favorite place. I love it. It's not a hidden gem, but it's amazing.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, this picture is just stunning. I forgot to add when I was talking about the book and the layout that if I read correctly, these are 1 to 6 mile hikes or walks, right? That people can do. So really accessible. And as being someone who really wants to encourage new hikers to get out and explore, what I love about the Urban Trails series is that mostly you're going to have cell phone reception. And you guys gave turn by turn directions, which was awesome too. And I thought that was really helpful because people have a way that they can bring their book or take a photo of it and be on the trail and say, okay, it says to make a right here. I thought that was really great. And also, people can go via the bus. I saw that you guys had directions even on how to get to the trailhead using the public transport. So if you haven't made it accessible, I don't know what else you could do. But continuing on, what other hikes, Chris?
This was down more in our South Bay. So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we touched upon, are sort of the some of the underserved areas. So we actually put some hard geographic caps on how far north we went. And the Sweetwater River. So basically starting and moving down through there, and you actually end up at Morrison Pond and then work your way back up. So lovely little spot to rest halfway through. You time it right, you might get some lovely birds floating through and resting. And then you got some nice shade. You might see a horse or two. So that's another little nice one down in the South Bay. But yeah, you are right about the accessibility via public trans. It's like you can take the bus, you can take the trolley. Sometimes we had debates like, okay, how close? So there's a hike near me where it's like, yeah, you can take MTS 20, but you still have a mile walk to the trailhead. So yes, you may be going up a big mountain, but we'll be kind and say that one is not.
My next one is my local hill. I call it a hill because its name is Dictionary Hill. It's a couple miles from my house, and it's a shortish hike, 2.5 miles, and a bit steep in many places. But I hike this at least every week, and I did Kilimanjaro this past summer, and that's the training I did. I went there and I did it over and over and over again. And I think that is the power to that we don't have to be doing these hikes that we think are terribly difficult or challenging to prepare ourselves for difficult things. It's just about putting in the work and increasing our capacity.
I love that. By the way, Chris, have you done Kilimanjaro yet?
No, I've only gone as high as Mount Humphreys, so I'm still sitting at just at a 12. I'm hoping to break a 14er this year.
Yay.
That's on my goal
You
list.
gonna go to Colorado and do that?
No, I'll probably stay here in good old Southern California.
Okay.
I'll head to Boulder when I finish up the degree, and then
Nice.
definitely tack on a little extra time for a little extra fun besides getting my master's.
Love that. And Susie, yeah, I love that comment. I think for advanced hikers, similar to you, I've done Kilimanjaro. I trained in my local mountains here. We do have high elevation mountains here. The city of Santa Fe is almost at I think we're at 7,000 feet. It gets pretty high up there. Similar to you, my friend and I would go do a local peak, and we did it multiple times in a day to get that mileage in and kind of get our body accustomed to the longer days and the altitude gain and loss. And it's a great tip is that, find your local high point. It doesn't have to be the highest mountain. It could even be a hill, but it's, how much am I going up and down? Kilimanjaro at the end of the day is, as you know, it's really the last day where you're it's for me, that
Brutal.
was, yeah. And it was the altitude, really. The hike itself, I was trained for it, but those miles, the terrain and all of that, it's brutal. But there's just so many ways to train and prepare for getting ready for hiking, and preparing for something. You want to call it like that challenge that you might set your eyes on, right? Chris, you're going to go do a 14er. So you got to keep that hiking shape going. And there's a lot of ways to get creative. On that topic, I know we're going to jump into your third favorite hike, but before we do that, I would love to just hear just a couple of hiking tips that either of you might want to add in for people who are looking to get started in just getting outside.
I guess for me, the biggest tip I have is just get moving. It doesn't have to be, it really is almost the essence of the book. It doesn't have to be, hey, I got to hop in my car for an hour and a half to some faraway trailhead. You know what? Grab a hat, a little sun protection, water, maybe a snack, and just, get some dirt on your feet, even some concrete, to just start moving and going from there. And that's, you know, you don't need to drop $1,000 at REI and, have the latest, coolest, lightest backpack and the coolest, best shoes, et cetera, et cetera. Just get out and get moving.
I love that.
And for me, I think I can speak from experience. When I first started hiking a lot, I was very nervous to be out there by myself, which is crazy because now I do pretty much everything by myself on my daily hikes. So I think finding resources that allow you to be more comfortable, whether that be a meetup group, which there's tons of, 52 Hike Challenge group, that's what I had joined. I laugh now. I was afraid to go to Mission Trails and hike a peak by myself. There's always tons of people there, but I joined a 52 Hike meetup challenge group, and that's how I was able to go there for the first time. So exploring your resources, if it's Meetup or Facebook or using a guidebook, just to feel more comfortable, and also starting small, because it will come. If you put in the work, it will come, whatever you want to achieve.
Thank you both. I really appreciate that. Those are really great tips. And I agree, get started somewhere with a small, like I say, start in your neighborhood if you need to. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into number 3.
So number 3 for me is one of my backyard hikes is Penasquitos Canyon. It's probably, I think, the longest one in the book. It's got a waterfall about 3 miles out. There are a couple different routes you can take. We actually did debate whether or not we should put the entire canyon, which turns into 12 miles, but we felt that might be a little too off-putting. So we just, hey, they're going to go for the waterfall. Got a flowing creek, obviously. Got a couple bridges that usually are up. After we have a good rainstorm, you better check with the rangers just to see if they're haven't been washed away. And there's a historic ranch house you can go visit. There's a gravestone, so you can have a little spookiness about you on the hike as well. So really popular, a lot of easy to get to, a lot of parking, a lot of people are going to be there. So touching back on that, oh, where am I going? What am I doing? There's going to be people around you, and you're going to have a little bit of sense of, okay, I'm not traipsing through the unknown by myself. So.
That is a really great hike. I was really happy to see that on there. And also, that's really great for people to know is that, like, some of the hikes in here may actually have a lot of other trails to explore as well. But it's great that you didn't overwhelm them. So simplicity, how easy it is to use this is really great, especially when you're new to hiking.
And then my third one is a new area that I learned about when doing research for this book. And it's really an urban trail. It's cement, and then it's catwalks, they call them. They're a series of ramps and stairs in the neighborhood of Rolando Village in San Diego. It's such a cute, historic neighborhood. The street lamps are acorns. I love it. I love looking at the houses, and they do amazing seasonal decorations. And then the catwalks aren't super long, so there's many of them, but they're not 100 stairs. They're less. I can also take my dog on it. He enjoys this little loop. So that's a new area that I found while researching this book, and I just had to put it in there because I think it's so charming, so accessible, and so fun.
I did see that and I was like, ooh, I want to check that out. That looks so cute. So yeah, next time I'm in California, since I still go down there a lot to visit with family, I may have to make a special trip down to San Diego just to check some of these trails out that are in the book. Yeah, thanks so much for that. Let's just talk a little bit about hiking in San Diego. I think most people know this, but if not, San Diego has amazing weather. Tell us a little bit for those who maybe haven't been to San Diego, what kind of weather they can experience, and maybe a little bit just about why San Diego.
We have amazing weather here, if you didn't know, except for today. It's in the high 80s, and this is in February, so it's a bit too hot. But typically, we're in the 70s year round, which is really nice. In the summer, it does get a bit warmer, but it stays cool in the coastal areas. So we always have that as an option. It tends to get a little bit warmer in the inland valleys and the mountains in the east. It doesn't rain much either, although this past year we've had some bursts of pretty significant rain, which actually has been amazing because it's never looked better. Green, flowers, beautiful everywhere. So we have a lot of sunny days and we have a lot of nice, mild weather that makes it perfect for being outdoors.
The other thing I would add is beyond what Susie was saying around the coastal and on the beautiful weather we have a lot of different environments. So as you start to really build up your own hiking skills, yes, we can go out to the mountains. I mean, I think Susie, last weekend you were up in the mountains when we had snow for just a few days and hiked up in the snow. I was actually out in the Anza Desert, traipsing across the desert floor and the desert wildflowers and going out and palm trees and some flowing springs out there. So we actually have a lot to offer for the outdoor enthusiast.
Yeah, I really loved the native floral and fauna page. So, really well done, both of you. I really, truly have enjoyed getting to check out this book. Before we start wrapping up, is there anything else that you both wanted to share regarding the book or anything else that's come to your heart that you want to share with the community?
I think I
Well,
just want everyone to know that you can get Urban Trails on March 1st on online in bookstores. We're holding a bunch of events here in San Diego to celebrate its release. That includes hikes, book talks, and signings. I really want to inspire people to get outdoors and make it accessible. That stems from my work as an occupational therapist, but it's just in everything I do. I really want people to experience the benefits of being outdoors. And I do know if you start too much and too hard, it's overwhelming, and then you're not going to do it. So creating this resource that has easy, accessible ideas, and then some more challenging ones as well. There's a variety, but just know that if you have an interest, there are many benefits that come from getting outdoors, and whatever I can do to encourage that, I want to.
Thank you for doing that work. And, I think we're all here doing the same thing, preaching the importance, the benefits of getting outside and the power of being in nature and staying active.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's almost a cornerstone of my master's degree, outdoor recreation economy is like the benefits of being outside and what it can bring to you. And you've been holding up the book there a little bit. Actually, one of the designs of the book from the publisher is meant to actually be able to fit in a pocket and take it with you. So it's a great resource to get out and get moving with. And like Susie said, we got some events coming up. As she often refers to it, it's a labor of love for both of us. This is her hometown, my adoptive hometown. And, we kind of want to give back to the hiking community being, avid hikers that we are as well. So let people really find those places to get out, explore, have fun. You time it right now, like you're saying, the wildflowers are popping, the hills are green. So it's a beautiful time.
The only other thing I wanted to ask you both is where they can find out more information about both of you and also how they can order their own copy.
So it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and also direct from the publisher from Mountaineers Books. If you're in San Diego, it'll be in various bookstores. We actually don't have the list from the publisher where it's actually going to be physically there. If you are in town, like Susie said, we have some upcoming events. If you go to urbantrails-sandiego.com and join the newsletter, the list of the events are up there. We're doing a signing at Warwick's in La Jolla, which is a independent bookseller down in La Jolla. We have a talk out at Helix Brewery coming up actually on Earth Day. We're doing a hike and talk for Book Catapult. They're down in, is that technically North Park? I'm
South
on the
Park.
burbs, South Park. I'm in the burbs. That whole area is kind of blurs together. North Park. Even with the book, I still don't know where the lines are. So those are your great resources to actually, grab a copy and go from there. March 1st, like Susie said. So it's just, we're recording this at the end of February. So we're excited that people can really get their hands on it.
Be launching this next week, and I'll make sure to add the links for people to learn more. Susie, anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I have an Instagram specifically for hiking that I started in preparation for this book, which is Susie Hikes. And I hike every day. So I'm posting every day on my stories, and I make a daily post just trying to get people inspired to get outdoors.
On
Chris,
Instagram over at SD Peak Bagger.
well, thank you both so much for sharing your wisdom and giving us some tips on favorite hikes, and for both working on this really cool new guide for people traveling in San Diego or who live in San Diego, or even if you're not in San Diego and you're in Orange County, where I lived for many years, I would travel down to San Diego often and get those hikes in. So there's lots of places to explore, and it's really exciting to see that you have 52 different options, which can help you on your 52 hike challenge. So thank you both so much. I really appreciate it. And we will see you all in the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Karla.
Thank you, Karla. That was wonderful.